The mistake that changed everything. Jake never liked coming home late. He worked long hours at the repair shop, and by the time he returned, the streets were dark and empty. That night, everything felt the same. Until it didn't. He reached the front door of his apartment and stepped inside. It was quiet, too quiet. Usually, his roommate, Torin, would be watching TV or cooking something weird. But tonight, silence filled the place. Jake tossed his jacket on the couch and walked down the hallway. He was half asleep, thinking about leftover pizza in the fridge, when he saw a soft blue light coming from under Torin's door. "That's strange," Jake whispered. Torin usually kept his room dark. He was a private guy. Weird, but nice. Jake rubbed his eyes. He reached for his own room's doorbell instead, without thinking. He opened Torin's door by mistake. What he saw made him freeze. The room looked like something from a sci-fi movie. Bright symbols floated in the air. Strange machines hovered above the floor, spinning and glowing. A map of Earth flickered on a screen. No, not a screen. It was floating in midair, and there was Torin, standing in the middle of the room. His back was to Jake. His arms were raised, and his skin. It wasn't right. Jake took a step back. Torin turned around slowly. His eyes glowed bright green. Lines of light ran across his skin like circuits. His face still the same shape. Still human, but different. Unnatural. Jake couldn't move. Torin stared at him. The room went silent. "You weren't supposed to see this," Torin said calmly. His voice was deeper than usual. No emotion. Jake's mouth opened, but no words came out. "What ... are you?" He finally managed to ask. Torin looked down, as if thinking. Then he reached forward and tapped something in the air. All the lights and machines vanished instantly. The room went dark, back to normal. He walked toward Jake, slowly. No smile, no anger, just quiet. Jake stepped back. Heart pounding, Torin gently closed the door behind him. Now he said, "We need to talk." Jake didn't know what to do. Run? Scream? Call someone? But Torin didn't look like he wanted to hurt him. In fact, he looked tired. They sat on the couch. Jake's hands shook. "I'm not from here," Torin said simply. "Not from this planet." Jake blinked. "You're an alien." Torin nodded once. "Yes. My real name cannot be spoken in your language." "You can still call me Torin." Jake laughed nervously. "This is a joke, right? Some prank." "No," Torin said. "This is real. And now you know." Oh. Jake stood up and started pacing. "Why are you here? Why are you living with me?" Torin looked at him, expression calm. "I'm studying humans. I was sent here. City, this apartment. It's perfect for quiet observation." Jake shook his head. "So I'm some test subject." "No," Torin said. "You were a roommate, nothing more." Jake stared at him. "And now," Torin paused. "Now, you're something else. Because you saw." The room fell silent again. Only the sound of a ticking clock filled the space. Jake sat back down. "How long have you been here? 5 years? My kind can blend. In our outer body is a human shell. Inside, we are different." Jake looked at Torin's face. He looked normal again. No glowing eyes, no lights, but why Earth? Why humans? Torin leaned forward. "Because something is coming, and Earth is not ready." Jake felt a cold chill run down his back. "What's coming?" Torin looked toward the window. Outside, the city lights glowed peacefully. He spoke slowly. "A threat, not from me, from others. I came to watch, to prepare." Jake's voice was barely a whisper. "You mean an invasion?" Torin didn't answer. His silence said enough. Jake stood up. So what now? Are you going to erase my memory? Kill me. Torin raised an eyebrow. We don't do that. Human. And now, you are involved. Jake frowned. Involved in what? Torin looked him in the eyes. In something bigger than you can imagine. There was a loud knock on the door. Both of them froze. Torin stood quickly. Stay here, he said. Don't speak, don't move. He walked to the door. Jake could feel his heart beating in his ears. Another knock. Louder this time, Torin. Opened the door slowly. Outside, there was nothing. Just empty air. Then a voice echoed from the hallway. Cold, robotic. We know you're not alone anymore. Jake jumped to his feet. Torin turned to him. They found us. You seeing my secret? Changed everything. Asterisk the hallway was empty, but the voice still echoed like it came from every wall. Jake stood frozen behind the couch, trying to breathe quietly. His legs felt weak. His mind raced with questions. What did that voice mean? Who were they? And why did Torin suddenly look worried? Torin shut the door slowly, locking it. His face had changed, not physically, but emotionally. The calm expression was gone. Now he looked serious. Focused, they weren't supposed to come yet. Torin whispered. Jake stepped forward. Who was that? Torin didn't answer right away. He walked toward the bookshelf in the corner of the room, placed his hand on it, and suddenly the shelf slid open like a secret door. Behind it, a small control panel glowed softly in the dark. What is that? Jake asked. My emergency gear, Torin replied. He pressed a few buttons. A low hum filled the apartment. Then, he turned to Jake. You deserve to know the truth. All of it. Jake sat down, still shaking. You already told me you're an alien. What more is there? Torin looked at him with eyes that no longer glowed, but still held something otherworldly. I didn't come to Earth just to study humans. I came to find something, or someone. Jake raised an eyebrow. Someone, yes, Torin said. We believe one human holds something inside them. Something very old, very powerful. A link between our world and yours. Jake laughed nervously. You're saying a human has alien DNA? Not exactly, Torin replied. It's more like a forgotten code, buried deep, sleeping. Jake's voice dropped. And you think it's me? Torin didn't answer. He simply looked at him. Jake's heart skipped. Wait, is that why you moved in with me? Torin nodded. At first, yes. But I didn't know for sure. Not until tonight. Not until you saw. Jake's mind spun. So, I'm some kind of alien key. Maybe, Torin said softly. Or maybe just a doorway. Before Jake could ask more, a loud clicking noise came from the ceiling. Both of them looked up. A small, drone black, insect-like, with glowing red eyes lowered itself through a crack in the vent. It hovered silently for a moment, then scanned the room. Jake ducked behind the couch. What the hell is that? Scout, Torin whispered. They send those first. He raised a device from the hidden panel. It looked like a small silver disc. With one flick, he threw it at the drone. The disc spun in the air, then flashed with a burst of blue light. The drone dropped to the floor, smoking. Jake peeked out. What kind of tech is that? Torin ignored the question. More are coming. We need to move. Jake stood. Where? My safe house, under the city. Torin looked at him seriously. But if you come with me, your life changes forever. You will not be able to go back. Jake hesitated. His job, his friends, his entire life gone. But then he thought of the voice at the door, the drone, the glowing machines. Let's go, he said. They stepped outside. The hallway was still empty, but the air felt wrong heavy, like something watched them. Torin led Jake to the back stairs. They moved fast but quiet as they reached the ground floor. Jake asked, "How many of these things are after you?" Torin looked around. "Not me. Us now." They reached a narrow alley behind the building. A black car waited there, sleek. Silent, Torin got in. Jake followed. The car drove itself. "Okay," Jake said. "So let me get this straight. You're an alien. You live with me. And now I might be the key to saving the world from—" "What? Other aliens?" "Not aliens," Torin said. "Hybrids. Created by a different race. They want Earth, but not for peace." Jake stared. "You mean a secret war is already happening? And nobody knows?" Torin nodded. "That's why I was sent here." Jake looked out the window. The city lights flew past. Normal people walking, talking, living. Unaware of what was coming, he turned to Torin. "Why me, though? Am I? Not just take a sample, test me, and leave." Torin paused. Then said, "Because you're different. The code in you is awake now. And once it's awake, it spreads." Jake's voice shook. "Spreads how?" "To minds, to machines, to everything connected to Earth's systems." Jake's breath caught. "You mean I'm a walking virus?" "No." Torin said gently, "You're a firewall, a protector. But you don't know how to use it yet." The car stopped in front of an old abandoned subway station. Torin got out. "We're here." Jake followed. "What is this place?" Torin pressed his hand to a brick wall. It melted into light. "A gateway," he said. "To the real story." They stepped inside. Behind them, high above in the sky, 3 dark shapes hovered in silence, watching. The brick wall disappeared like smoke, and behind it was something Jake never imagined, a tunnel, glowing with soft blue light. Leading down into the earth, Torin stepped in first. "Stay close. This place doesn't like strangers." Jake followed, heart racing. "You've got to stop saying creepy stuff like that." The air inside was cool and smooth, almost too perfect. The walls weren't made of bricks or concrete. They shimmered like liquid glass, constantly shifting shapes. Jake reached out to touch them. Torin grabbed his wrist. "Don't. This tunnel is alive." Jake pulled his hand back. "You mean it's watching us?" Torin nodded. "Everything down here is." They walked in silence. Jake could hear soft humming, like whispers in another language. After a few minutes, the tunnel opened into a massive underground room. Giant machines floated in the air, connected by glowing cables. In the center of the room was a circular table, showing a 3D map of Earth with several blinking red dots. Across it, Jake stared at it. "What is this place?" Torin placed his hand on the table. The map zoomed in to one of the red dots, New York City. "This is one of our underground stations. Built by my people to monitor Earth and protect it." Jake walked around the room slowly. "From what? The hybrids?" "Yes," Torin replied, "but also from itself." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" Torin looked at the map. "Humans are strong, but your technology moves faster than your wisdom. Okay. That's dangerous. The hybrids know this. They want to infect your systems first, your satellites, your internet, even your phones." Jake took a step back. "So it's not just aliens with lasers. It's hacking." Torin nodded. "But with living code. Code that thinks. Code that wants." Jake sat down on a nearby bench. "This is way too much. I fix air conditioners for a living, man. I'm not some chosen one." "You're not chosen," Torin said. "You were born into it." "That's different." Jake looked up. "Why me?" Torin pointed to a small screen. It showed DNA twisting strands of red and blue. But one section glowed golden. "This part is not human," Torin said. "We call it the Echo. It's ancient, lost long ago. But we found traces in your blood." Jake leaned closer. "You scanned." "My DNA." Torin nodded. "Your toothbrush." "Sorry." Jake blinked. "Okay, that's creepy. But whatever. So what does this Echo do?" Torin looked serious. "It gives you access to machines, to signals, to them." Jake stood up. "I don't want to access anything. I want to go back to eating pizza and watching dumb movies." "You can't," Torin said, "because they know you exist now." Jake went silent. Torin walked to a glowing wall and waved his hand. It opened to reveal a black case. Inside was a thin silver wristband. "What's this?" Jake asked. "Interface gear," Torin replied. "It helps you connect safely." Jake hesitated. "Will it hurt?" Torin shrugged. "Only once." Jake sighed and placed the band on his wrist. The moment it locked in place, a sharp pulse ran up his arm. His eyes widened. For a second, everything went quiet hand. Then ... his mind exploded with light. He saw visions, satellites, cities, waves of code, flashes of people he'd never met. And one terrifying image, a tall creature made of metal and smoke, with eyes like burning suns, standing over Earth. Jake ripped the band off and collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Torin rushed to him. "What did you see?" Jake looked up slowly. "Something bad. Something coming." Torin narrowed his eyes. "Describe it." Jake Dan Torin looked shocked. "That's not possible," he whispered. "You saw the Harbinger." Jake sat up. "That doesn't sound good." "It's not," Torin replied. "It means they've activated their leader. The final phase has begun." Jake stood, still dizzy. "So what do we do?" Torin walked to the center table. He tapped the map. One red dot was flashing faster now. London. Double quotes. "We stop them. One by one, before they fully take control." Jake looked unsure. "You want me to fight alien hackers? I don't even know how to use a MacBook properly." "You don't need to," Torin said. "You just need to be near them. Your presence disrupts their network. You're like a walking EMP." Jake blinked. "I'm a human USB error." "Close enough." They both laughed for the first time, but it didn't last, because suddenly the lights flickered. The map blinked. Torin rushed to the controls. "No, no, no, no. ... double quotes." Jake stood. "What is it now?" They found this station. There, inside the system. From the walls, long black cables slithered out like snakes, trying to reach Jake. Torin grabbed his arm. "Run." They sprinted back through the tunnel as alarms screamed behind them. Machines burst from the ground, half robot, half Leon chasing fast. Jake looked at Torin. "This your idea of a mission?" Torin smiled grimly. "This is just the warm-up." Jake had never run for his life before. Now he was sprinting through a living tunnel, chased by machines that looked like spiders made of metal and smoke. Their red eyes glowed. Their claws scratched the walls, and they were getting closer. Torin stayed ahead, calm but fast. "Don't stop, Jake. The exit is close." Jake's lungs burned. His legs ached, but fear kept him going. They burst out of the glowing tunnel into a dark subway tunnel. Old abandoned tracks stretched out into the shadows. Torin slammed his hand onto the wall, and a steel door slid shut behind them. The sound of metal slamming against it echoed on the other side. Will that hold? Jake asked, out of breath. Toren checked a small screen on his wrist. Not forever. Maybe 10 minutes. Jake leaned against the wall. Great, just enough time to have a panic attack. Toren didn't smile. We need to move. Now. They followed the tracks for what felt like hours. Finally, they emerged through a rusted door into a crowded city streetlights. Cars, noise, it felt like a different world. Jake blinked at the normal people walking past. No one screamed, no one noticed the monsters underground. How can they not know what's happening? He whispered. Toren looked at the crowd. 'Cause that's how the hybrids work. Quiet, hidden, patient. Jake frowned. You said they blend in, right? Yes, Toren said. Most look human. You could walk past 10 of them and never notice. Jake looked around. So how do we find them? Toren pulled a small black device from his pocket. It looked like a phone, but the screen showed symbols and waves. We don't find them. Toren said, we follow their signal. The device beeped. The signal pointed west. Jake and Toren walked 4 blocks, through alleys and side streets, until they reached a large office building. Silver glass. Clean. Quiet. Too quiet, Jake looked. Up. What's this place? Toren answered. Tech company. Front for a hybrid control node. Jake raised an eyebrow. English, please. They're hiding a command center inside. It controls part of their network. If we take it out, we slow them down. Jake swallowed hard. And if we don't, run. Didn't answer. They entered the building through the back. Inside, everything looked normal desks, computers, coffee machines. But no people, no voices. No footsteps, just silence. Jake whispered, this is wrong. Where is everyone? Toren moved. Carefully. Either gone or watching. They reached the main server room. Toren scanned the door with his device. Shielded. Strong tech. Jake looked at the keypad. I used to fix these locks at the shop. Toren looked surprised. You can. Open it. Jake smiled nervously. No promises. He knelt, removed the panel, and started messing with wires. Toren stood watch. Click. The door opened. Inside. The server room pulsed with red light. Long cables hung from the ceiling, moving slowly like vines. A large black cube hovered in the center. That's the node, Toren said. It's alive. Be careful. Jake stepped in slowly. The cube turned toward him. A voice echoed from its female.com. Emotionless, subject 09 Theta detected. Jake Carter, you are not authorized. Jake froze. It knows my name. Toren pulled a device from his jacket. That means you're connected. And that means we can overload it. He tossed the device onto the cube. It beeped once. Then the voice changed, from calm to angry. Interference detected. Initiating. Defense protocol. The cables shot out. Jake ducked. Toren blasted 2 with a pulse gun. Sparks flew. The cube screamed in digital static. Jake! Toren shouted. Touch it. Jake's eyes widened. What? No way! You're the key. Just do it. Jake dodged a cable and reached forward his hand, touched the cube, instantly. His mind filled with images against his burning, towers falling, humans crying out. But then the images changed. He saw code, numbers, patterns, like puzzles waiting to be solved, and he understood them. He whispered, shut down. The cube's light turned white. Then off. Silence. All the cables dropped to the floor, dead. Jake collapsed, gasping. Toren rushed to him. Are you all right? Jake nodded slowly. I think I just hacked an alien. Toren helped him up. No. You just rewrote part of their hive mind. You connected to it, bent it. Jake blinked. That doesn't sound normal. It's not, Torin said. That's why they fear you. Jake looked at the dark cube. Felt it, Torin. I felt other minds, not just aliens, people. Torin's face changed. What did you see? Jake hesitated. I think some humans are already connected to them, controlled. Torin's voice was grim. Then the infection has begun. They stepped out of the building. The sky was darker than before, and on the tallest tower across the city, a figure stood tall, still watching. Jake felt a chill. Torin spoke softly. He's here. Jake looked up. Who? Torin's voice dropped. The Harbinger? The Harbinger didn't move. He stood tall on the rooftop of a distant tower. Wrapped in shadow and mist, glowing eyes fixed on Jake, like a predator watching prey. Jake couldn't breathe. It felt like looking at death in human shape. He's watching me, Jake whispered. Torin nodded. He's not just watching, he's listening. Jake turned to him. How? We're so far away. Torin looked toward the tower. He doesn't see with eyes. He sees with signal, frequency, mind. Jake looked down at his hands. Because I touched the cube. Torin nodded slowly. You connected. And now, he knows you. A cold wind blew across the city. Jake felt it in his bones, like the beginning of a storm. We can't stay here. Torin said, we have to go deeper. Jake frowned. Deeper where? Torin pointed down, literally down. The hive, he said. The root of their network. It's underground, beneath everything. You want answers? You want to stop this? We go there? Jake hesitated. What if I lose control again? Torin placed a hand on his shoulder. Then I'll bring you back. They drove for hours out of the city, into the mountains. The skies grew darker, the roads empty. Nature felt abandoned. Finally, they arrived at an old power station. Broken gates, rusted wires. Silence, Torin led the way. Behind a steel door, a secret elevator waited. He placed his palm on the scanner. It opened without a sound. The ride down was quiet. Too quiet. How deep is this? Jake asked. Torin didn't answer. The doors opened with a soft chime. Before them stretched a vast underground chamber, walls made of black metal, pulsing slowly like they were breathing. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, like whispers in another language, like something alive. This is the hive, Jake whispered. No, Torin said. This is only the entrance. They stepped inside. As they walked, Jake saw strange pods. Along the walls, inside each pod, humans, sleeping, eyes closed, floating in green liquid. He stepped back. Are they dead? No, Torin said. Connected. Living in a simulation? They don't know they're here. Jake stared. Why would they do this? Not they, Torin corrected. Him, the Harbinger. He doesn't conquer by force. He conquers by comfort. By illusion. Jake felt sick. These people think they're living normal lives. Yes, Torin said. Jobs, families, holidays, all fake. All data fed directly into their minds. They don't fight because they don't know they're prisoners. Jake shook his head. This is hell. Torin looked at the pods. This is the future. If we fail, suddenly, the hive trembled. A low rumble filled the space. Something's coming, Torin said. We need to move fast. They reached a central chamber. In the middle was a large platform surrounded by black crystal towers. Inside the largest one, something pulsed like a heart made of light and code. That's it, Torin said. The core. Jake stepped forward. What do I do? Torin handed him the interface band again. Connect. Let the echo inside you talk to it. Jake took a deep breath and put the band on. He stepped onto the platform. Instantly, the crystal towers lit up. Jake felt like he was falling, his mind pulled from his body. Deeper into a digital space, everything turned white. Then, images, millions of faces, voices, memories not his own. He saw cities being built by machines, stars falling, civilizations burning, and always the Harbinger watching. Then he heard a voice. Not Torin, not the Hive. Something older. Something human. You are the bridge. Jake turned in the white space. Who said that? We've waited for you. The bloodline has returned. You can wake the others. Jake whispered. The others? The sleeping minds, the locked codes. You are not alone. Suddenly, Jake saw the pods again, thousands of them. He saw light inside each one. Waiting, he reached out mentally and the light responded, back in the real world. Torin watched. As the core's light grew brighter, the chamber shook. The sleeping humans in pods began to stir. Some opened their eyes. Torin gasped. He's waking them. Jake opened his eyes, sweating, glowing faintly. I saw them, he whispered. I connected with them. They're still human. Then a loud sound shattered the chamber. The wall behind them exploded. The Harbinger stepped through the smoke. No longer a shadow, no longer watching. He was here, 10 feet tall, made of armor and energy. A face with no features, just burning light where eyes should be. Torin raised his weapon. Get behind me. Jake stood firm. No. I think he's here. For me? The Harbinger's voice was like thunder inside their minds. You touched the code. You opened the gate. Now you belong to us. Jake stared at him. You're wrong. Harbinger raised his hand, and the chamber began to crack. Jake shouted, Torin, get out of here. Torin didn't move. We go together. The core's light turned red. Everything was falling apart. Jake looked at the Harbinger and made a choice. He stepped toward him. Asterisk. The hive trembled as Jake stepped forward. The Harbinger's glow pulsed brighter, reacting to Jake like a magnet sensing metal. Its head tilted, not curious but calculating. Torin raised his arm, ready to fire again. But Jake held up a hand. No. Jake said, voice calm. Let me try something. Torin froze. You don't know what it'll do. I know, Jake replied. But I felt something back there, in the core. I think it's afraid of me. The Harbinger slowly lifted one hand. The air between them bent, like heat rising off fire. Jake's vision blurred, but he didn't back away. You are broken. Code, the Harbinger said in his mind. An echo from a dead experiment. Jake flinched at the voice. It wasn't just sound, it was pressure. Like 1,000 wires pulling at his skull. He took another step forward. I'm not broken, Jake said. I'm human. Suddenly, the core behind him exploded with red light. The floor cracked beneath their feet. Torin grabbed a rail to stay upright. Jake, he shouted. The hive is collapsing. We have to go. But Jake stood still. Why now? He asked the Harbinger. Why attack Earth now? The Harbinger didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Because Earth is ready to fall. Your species consumes itself. We do not destroy. We inherit. Jake shook his head. You're wrong. People fight for each other. They rise, then rise, and burn. The Harbinger raised both arms. Energy gathered in the air like a forming storm. Torin fired. The beam hit the Harbinger's chest but passed right through. Damn it, Torin shouted. He's projecting, not here fully. Jake turned to him. Then, where is he? Torin's eyes widened. He's using the hive as a signal boost, A puppet. The real harbinger. Still outside. Jake's mind raced. Then, this is a test. He's trying to see how strong I am. Suddenly, Jake collapsed. Not from pain, but from information. Something had entered his mind again, but this time, it didn't hurt. It whispered. It showed him a memory, not his. Own a lab, a child machines, people in white suits, and a name. Project Sentinel. Jake gasped as he sat up. Toron, I was part of something. A long time ago. Before I ever met you. Torin's expression turned grim. Project Sentinel. That was shut down decades ago. Jake stood, breathing hard. Not shut down. Hidden, they changed names. Changed locations. Torin looked at him. You're saying the human government made you? Jake nodded. Or tried to. I think I'm one of many. Experiments? Some failed. Some didn't. Torin stared at him. That's why you activated the core so easily. That's why your DNA carried the echo. Jake looked at the harbinger, who stood still, watching, waiting. He's not here to destroy Earth, Jake said. He's here to reclaim something. Torin's voice dropped. You? Jake nodded. I'm not just a threat to them. I'm the real target. Just then, a massive screech ripped through the chamber. The walls split open. From the shadows, dozens of hybrid creatures began to crawl in metal and bone twisted together. Walking like insects. Jake grabbed Torin. We need to leave, now. Torin opened his wrist panel. I can teleport us. One jump. But it has to be fast. Jake looked around the hive. The people in pods were waking, blinking, dazed, scared. Jake shouted, Can you take them too? Torin shook his head. Not. This many, their minds are still weak. If we move them now, they'll die. Jake looked back. Then we buy them time. Torin's eyes widened. You can't fight them all. Jake smiled faintly. I don't have to. I just have to distract them. Jake ran toward the harbinger and the oncoming hybrids. Torin activated the emergency beacon on Jake's wrist. 3 minutes. Torin shouted. Then, it's too late. Jake turned back. If I don't make it finish this. Torin stared, then gave a single nod. Jake turned, sprinted into the storm. Energy flew. Sparks lit the hive. Jake felt everything, every signal, every mind, every machine. And then he screamed. A pulse exploded from him, a shockwave of light. The hybrids stopped, twitched, screamed in digital agony. Torin pulled the first few waking. People from the pods, one by one. Jake kept walking toward the harbinger, glowing now like a star, ready to die. You want me, he shouted. Then take me. And then blackout. He woke up on a cold metal floor, not in the hive, not in the city. A white room, clean, bright. Across from him, man in a suit, calm, smiling. Mr. Carter. The man said, You've been busy. Jake sat up. Where am I? The man placed a folder on the table. On it, Project Sentinel. We've been watching too, and now, it's time we talked. Asterisk, the room was too clean. White walls, white floor. No windows. No noise. Jake sat across from the man in the suit, still dizzy. His wrists were bandaged. His mind fuzzy, but awake. The man smiled, polite, but cold. You've caused quite the storm. Jake stared at him. Who are you? The man slid the folder forward. Project Sentinel. We started it. You were born from it. Jake's fingers twitched. So, I'm not human. You're human, the man replied, but upgraded. It's grown with alien code, rescued from a crash 30 years. Jake frowned. Torin didn't tell me that, because he didn't know. We kept it secret even from them. Jake stood. So what do you want from me? The man leaned back. To help you win? Jake narrowed his eyes. You were watching while people were taken, while the hive grew. The man nodded, and now it's out of control. The Harbinger isn't a visitor anymore. He's building a body, a permanent one, on Earth. Jake's blood ran cold. The man continued. We can give you access to a satellite raw global link. Q can amplify your signal. Override his. Jake shook his head. That could fry my brain. Or save your planet. He paused. Choice is yours. Hours later, a hidden military base. Cold, busy. The world was waking up, and Jake was at the center of it. Torin met him by the loading bay. You're sure about this? Torin asked. Jake nodded. I saw what the Harbinger plans. He wants to turn Earth into a code world. No more people. Just programs. Torin handed him a small device. This will keep your body alive for as long as possible. Take clipped it to his belt, and after that, Torin didn't answer. The base shook. A soldier ran over. Sir, Harbinger's core just went active. Tower signal rising in the Atlantic. It's broadcasting to every city. Jake looked at the giant. Screens, maps, lights, spreading like infection. He turned to Torin. Let's end this. Final location, the Atlantic Array. A storm raged above it. Giant satellite dishes rose from the ocean like metal flowers. Lightning cracked the sky. Jake stood in the center of the control tower. Rain poured. Wind howled. He placed his hand on the activation panel. It lit up. Scanning his DNA. Match confirmed, access granted. Echo Protos Holjo's vision blurred. Torin stood beside him. Once you connect, there's no coming back. I know, Jake whispered. He placed the interface band on his wrist. One last time, the entire tower came alive, and so did Jake. He rose into the air glowing, humming, crackling with signal. His mind reached out, across oceans, through satellites, into cities, into machines, into people. He saw the infected, those controlled by the hive. He saw the free fighting, scared, ready, and then he saw the Harbinger, the real one, a colossal being, rising from a tower built from code and metal in the middle of the ocean. No longer a projection, real, alive. You cannot win, the Harbinger boomed. You are one. We are many. Jake smiled faintly. Not anymore. Behind him, other signals lit up, tore on. The freed minds from the hive. People connected through the echo. All of them standing with Jake, human, alien, hybrid, united. Jake focused. The sky turned white. A beam of pure signal fired from the satellite. Tower straight into the Harbinger's core. He screamed, but Jake didn't stop. He pushed harder, feeling his cells burn. His memory strain. I'm not just code, Jake said. I'm not your weapon. I'm your firewall. With one final surge, he unleashed the entire echo. The Harbinger's body shattered into light. Its scream echoed across the glow band, then vanished. Silence. Jake fell. He woke up days later. In a hospital bed, Torin sat nearby, arms crossed, tired but alive. Jake blinked. Did we win? Torin nodded. The Harbinger's signal is gone. The hive collapsed. The infected woke up. You did it. Jake smiled weakly. Still feel like my brain's been microwaved? Torin smirked. Not bad for a part-time repair. Guy. Jake sat up. What now? Torin looked at the window. Torin looked. It's not alone. And you're living proof that humanity isn't weak. It evolves. Jake stood, legs shaky but strong. Let them come, he said. Next time, we won't wait in the dark.